Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be working on the W150 project today. Pretty much for the most part, a lot of the things are buttoned up on it for right now that we're going to want to do. Did take it for alignment after we did the lift, and they pointed out a couple of other things that needed done that I already knew. One of them was a steering box. So today I'm going to be swapping out the steering box. I have it apart somewhat already. I went to Amazon. The Cardon, whatever it is, was $358 shipped. Here locally was $400 and $500. I purchased that on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to check that out. And then I just went to O'Reilly and got some new steering lines. When I was looking at this earlier, I noticed the steering lines were pretty crusty and they were not going to come off or come out, so I knew I was going to need those, so I just went ahead and cut them, letting all the fluid drain. We got the Borgeson steering shaft off there with just a little bit of help. Wasn't just too bad. Used a pickle fork, drove that in there, and then pried it back and was able to get it off. Now we're going to be working on getting the bolts out for the mount itself. The steering box bolts to a bracket, and the bracket bolts to the frame. So we got to do that, and then we got to drill out or grind off the rivets for this leaf mount right here. It is loose. It's going to need some new bolts in it, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that while we're doing it. If I have enough time, I'm going to go ahead and take care of the other side as well. Everything come apart pretty easy because it had already been apart as far as the drag link, and yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and try and get the steering box out next and get it over on the table. Do a comparison just to make sure that it is the same. Pretty certain it is. In the steering box they sent 2 extra O-rings. If you're going to be reusing your lines, you're going to want to put new O-rings on it, but we're doing new lines, and only one of them came with O-rings, which I was kind of disappointed about. So yeah, I don't know why that line there, this is the pressure line, this is your return line, and that is a cut to length. You cut it off wherever you need it, and then you put a hose clamp on there. So for some reason it did not come with O-rings, but between what came with the steering box and what's in the return, we have what we need.
Might need it.
Alright, with just a little bit of Jonah's help, you can see we got the steering box out. I wanted to show you, I did take the radiator loose to get this front bolt out. It just helps immensely to be able to get that out. Right there's where that one's at, and it's behind the radiator. So I took my radiator brackets off. I lifted the radiator up, set on the frame on that side. I got a battery sitting on this side, just what I could find to prop it up. And then I was able to get to that bolt to be able to get that out. As far as your bottom line or your backside line on the bottom, be your pressure line, I was able to get that loose from the bottom side. We got both steering boxes sitting over here on the table. Before you put, I took the bracket off already. Before you put that bracket back on, you want to make sure and have your back bolt in, otherwise you can't fish it in. There's not enough room, so go ahead and put that in there before that gets put on. And with that right there, you can see there's no room to get that bolt fished up through there. So make sure your back mounting bolt for the plate to the frame is in there before you tighten that up. Now I'm going to grab my pitman arm puller, get that pitman arm pulled off, and make sure these are sitting both the same way, because you can see this is indexed for your pitman arm. Make sure you get that on the right way. This has a notch in it already. On some of them, on these Borgerson steering shafts, they ask or tell you in instructions to grind a flat spot on there. This one has a flat spot right there, and then it also has a notch in it for that bolt that holds your front bracket or your front swivel on the steering box itself from the shaft. All right, with that, it's ready to go back in the truck. Like I said, do not forget to put this bolt in there because you cannot get it fished in there otherwise. Probably if you forget it, you could take and clear some of that steel off of that gusset just a little bit if you had to, and get that put in there. Otherwise, you're going to be taking it all back apart to get that bolt in. Don't quite have the pitman arm pushed on all the way. I'm going to wait till I get it in the truck, get the drag link hooked up to it, and get it tightened up good that way. That way I can have leverage versus trying to hold it down here on the table. Alright, everything is on and tight, except for the pitman arm still. I need to tighten that up just a little bit more. I'm going to do the lines next. Going to work on the pressure line first. That's the one to the inside right there. Just because I can get to it and tighten it up, and then I'll go to the, the pressure side's on the inside, the return's on the outside. Just because you can get to it without having this line in the way, start with the your pressure line first. We got everything taken care of as far as getting everything replaced. All the lines are on. You cut, there's what's left of the return line. You cut it off and shove it on along with the clamp. Drag links back on, pitman arms tightened up, steering shafts all tightened up, lines are tightened on the box and on the pump. The only thing that I had to do is go buy some more power steering fluid now. I had about a half a quart, and that's not near enough. I'm gonna tell you how to do it right now, but I'm not gonna be able to finish it tonight. So we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow to finish this up and move on to the next project. So once you get everything taken care of, go ahead and pop your cap off of your power steering pump right there. And fill it up to the safe line, and then with both tires off the ground, obviously this one's off, we're going to jack under that one, this one's off the ground, you go You're going to want to start and crank back and forth without starting the vehicle, getting all the air out of the line. You may have to check your power steering pump and make sure that your reservoir doesn't run empty, or have somebody help you. Because you don't want to let that run empty. You want to keep that in a safe line or in a safe operating level. Because if it runs empty, then you got to start the process all over again because you've incorporated air into the line again. So you want to do that before you start it. That way all fluid is primed through the pump into your box. That way nothing gets messed up. We replaced lines and the steering box on this truck. Power steering pump was working fine, so we did not do any of that right now. After you do this, you may have to take your steering wheel off and move it accordingly and straighten it out, or take it and have it aligned, whichever you so choose to do. So right now alignment's running right around $60 to $100 depending upon where you go. Where we take our stuff for alignment is 60 bucks. So I guess with that, that's pretty much it. It's a pretty easy process. And actually in the instructions that they tell you, well, it's not really instructions, but just some helpful tips here. Skill level, this is a B, and then it is a 2-hour process to change that. Now obviously it's taken me more than 2 hours because of filming, moving, talking, and everything else. So really not a bad job. If you're doing this by yourself, you can probably accomplish it within 2 hours pretty easy, if you're not changing the line. So yeah, pretty easy job. So anyway, I think that's all I have. Like, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.